Hey guys, the second part of today's lesson talks about verbal expressions. So we use verbal expressions a lot with word problems. We gave you this chart here to use. This is just kind of a subset of words that might mean certain operations for addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. So if you see the word sum or plus or total, you would think of addition. Say you had the word minus or difference, that would be subtraction. Multiplication, you could have multiplied by, the word twice. Product, times, quotient. Division, you would have quotient, divided by, divided into. And this is, again, just a subset of words. You'll definitely have other words that you might encounter. The word quantity means you will need parentheses for the most part. Okay, so if you see the word quantity, think about parentheses. And the numbers will generally stay in order except if you see the word like or from, and that's where, or less or from. So if you have the word less than, that word than tells you to put the number after, and then the word, if it doesn't have it, then the number would go before. So for example, if you had you had 18 less than x, it would be x minus 18. But if you had the word 18 less x, it would be 18 minus x. So that word than is really important. Okay, so let's try to break apart some examples here. It says write an expression. Now remember, an expression is not an equation. It doesn't have an equal sign. So we're going to say 8 times the cube of a number. In this case, we don't know what the number is. Okay, so our variable, in this case, let's let n be equal to the number. You could let it be x. It doesn't matter what your variable is. I like to use the first letter of what I'm looking for, so or what is just the example is. So number begins with n. I'm going to use n. So 8 times the cube of a number would just be 8n to the third power. So times means multiplication. In this case, when you multiply a number times a variable, you don't need a multiplication sign, you don't need a dot. You just put 8 and then n, 8 becomes the coefficient. The cube means to the third power. So in that example, it would just be 8n cubed. Now, number 14 says the sum of the square of a number and 4. So the word sum is addition. Okay, that went away. So sum is addition. The square of a number. Well, we don't know what my number is. This pen's getting funky. The number would be our variable n, and then 4. So it's the square of a number. So square means to the second power, and 4. So we would actually add 4. So it's just going to be n squared plus 4. The sum of the square of a number and 4. 15, 10 times the sum of a number and 9. So 10 times, so the sum of a number, so there's our n and 9. Now we have to be careful here. So if we're taking 10 times, it's 10 times this whole sum. We need to be careful and put it in parentheses. So it's 10 times the sum of a number and 9. And then number 16, we've got 18 fewer than. There's that keyword than. Fewer means subtraction. If I wrote 3/4 of a number, so there's my variable. 3/4 of a number is just 3/4 times n, and 18 fewer than it would mean minus 18. So remember that keyword then says to do it after. Okay. All right, let me circle these so it's not too confusing. Okay, 17, we have the quotient. Anytime I say quotient, I'm just going to draw a fraction bar because in algebra we don't use the division symbol. We're just going to use a fraction bar. And in order it says the quotient of 8 and twice a number. So it would look like that. And number 18, 2 subtracted from the square of a number. Well, the square of a number, a variable, would be n. The square would be n squared. And we're subtracting 2 from it. So in this case, it's n squared minus 2. Okay. Moving on to writing an expression for each situation. The total area. Now remember, area is equal to the length times the width of a rectangle. So this garden, the area of a garden, so it's the rectangle formula, is the length, if the length is 2 feet longer than the width. Well, we don't know what the width is. Okay, so our width in this case is going to be equal to W. And our length is 2 feet longer than the width. So we can actually write our length relative to the width. And the expression that would represent the length would be W plus 2. So the area would be to just take the 2 and multiply them together. So we can actually say the area would be equal to W times W plus 2. Okay, and that would actually be square feet, feet squared rather. Okay, so it would just be feet squared. All right. Number 20, the total height of a 1 foot tall bird bath if it's placed on a base that is B feet tall. Well, if the base is B and we're putting 1 foot tall on top of it, we're just adding 1. Okay, so it's going to be B plus 1 feet. The amount of money you earn per hour. So per hour, if you make D dollars in 15 hours, so we want to figure out how much per hour. We take the total amount, D, and we divide it by 15. And number 22, the number of minutes. So minutes, there's 60 minutes in an hour. So if we have H hours, it would be 60 H. Okay, that's it for translating expressions.